No White Claw?
Of course, you could just do just double split Bud Light.
Oh, that did it. There we go. That worked.
Do you enjoy seeing Broadway musicals?
Yeah. I mean, I like it if they don't break into song too often, you know?
Elon's on Twitter.
He's tweeting about this right now.
Yeah, it wasn't until March of 2022 that we
We got kicked out.
hit a little snag and got booted.
You made me buy the company.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of,
That's the soundbite we needed right there. That's the soundbite.
It's the Babylon Bee at Twitter headquarters. Oh, and Elon Musk is there too.
We wanted to give you something, actually.
To restore the liberty of the bee was very expensive, guys.
This is a gift. It's an IOU worth $44 billion.
Thank you.
So
Well, you know, pretty soon 44 billion won't be worth that much anyway.
that's a good point. So I might want to hang on to that one.
Yeah, hang on to that one.
Okay.
That's a big one.
I will treasure this gift.
But it's seriously crazy to us. We come into the Twitter headquarters. We were, banned from Twitter in March 2022. You restored us and a bunch of other accounts in November 2022. And then now we're invited and we get to come here. And we weren't even allowed to go into our account,
Absolutely. It's like barbarians storming the barbarians, not merely at the gate, they're through the gate and pillaging the merch. Yeah. That's what we were doing. Merch pillaging. We're in and we're pillaging the merch.
You're the barbarian.
Yes.
Just making sure.
But you're my barbarian friends.
Okay.
I want to ask about that. So the restoring of accounts.
Yes.
When you came in, so you took over, you closed the deal. There was the lawsuit. There was all that. There was the drama. We were like riding a roller coaster, wondering what was actually going to happen because we had no idea if you would ever actually take over the company, if we would ever actually get out of Twitter jail because we had vowed to never delete that tweet.
Right.
So we were watching and just kind of wondering what's really happening. Then you finally take over. And you go in on day one. What are the conversations? Like, take us behind the scenes. Like, what happened behind the scenes where you're talking with the team, you're trying to figure out what to do with the advertisers and all of that. What was the conversation behind the scene around restoring accounts?
There were a few questions around why I was carrying a sink.
Wait, where is the sink? Is the sink still here?
I think security has it somewhere.
Do they really?
Yeah.
It's here?
Yeah. I've still run into people who don't actually. They asked me, why did you walk into the lobby with a sink? Because they didn't understand I was making a pun. Let that sink in. They couldn't help it, I felt like if I showed up with a sink, they'd have to let me in.
Right.
Because you can't help but let that sink in. It's impossible. Seems like the perfect Halloween, costume.
Yeah.
If you want, presuming you want to get into people's houses.
Yeah. That's hysterical. So you came in though, and you said, "Bring back the Babylon Bee, bring back these accounts." And then there was like pushback, right? Didn't you get pushback internally? That's what was reported anyway. Just going off of what was in the news.
Yeah. I mean, it was chaos in the beginning. I was trying to figure out, how to run this place and what was going on. And it's very difficult when the whole company works from home. So, it's like, who do you even Zoom with,
Right.
It's like, I don't know. It's like, normally you could walk around, introduce yourself to people and have conversations, but Twitter had gone to almost fully work from home. So this building was empty. And Twitter buildings around the world were empty. So it was just very difficult actually just trying to understand what was going on. I'd say it like the analogy, it would be like being teleported into a plane that's in a nosedive with its engines on fire and the controls don't work.
And you got to take it out of the nosedive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to reconnect the controls, like what's the org structure, what's the management team. Because unlike literally the hour one of the thing closing, I exited the top 4 people at the company. And then a whole bunch of people also quit. So it was like, organizational structure was like Swiss cheese that you put in the microwave.
Yeah.
It was like full of holes and melted. How's your Twitter feed? Are you finding it to be better these days or what?
Well, I only use the following tab because to me that's what I always wanted social media to be was just everybody I follow in order, exactly the order that it's posted. So the For You is more, the algorithm-driven stuff.
Yeah, but I think you should try the For You.
Try it out.
Yeah.
And I use it predominantly, and my time on the app is insane because of it. Because it's feeding me so much stuff, like the stuff that I'm watching, like crazy fight scenes. And so I get stuck
you
in
get
there.
some like weird, like no context humans or CCTV video, TV
Exactly.
video idiots or whatever.
Yes, uncensored video. I'm getting drawn into these things, the CCTV stuff. Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, I'm seeing a mix of opinions too. I'm seeing people that I disagree with pop up that I don't follow.
Sounds good.
Which a lot of people object to.
Right.
They don't want to see that. They only want to see people that they agree with.
Yeah. Well, the system actually does take into account your interactions. So it basically, if you argue with someone else, it'll assume that you like arguing,
Right.
which probably maybe someone secretly does
Yeah.
actually like arguing. They may not want to admit it, but they actually like it. It's like that Monty Python sketch. Have you ever seen that one where?
I'm here for an argument.
Yeah, I'm here for an argument. He accidentally goes into the insults room first.
Abuse.
Abuse. So if one account argues with another account, the algorithm will assume that that's what you want. You want more arguments, or more of that. Because you chose your time to spend your time that way. So it will actually then show you content that other content you might want to interact with. But I think that over time, the recommended for you tweets should be extremely compelling. I suspect that you'd probably want 80-20 recommended versus following, because it'll also the most compelling tweets from your followers are also in For You.
Mm-hmm.
So
skip the boring ones that people post
Pretty much, yeah.
and go right to the good stuff.
I mean, there's some accounts that I follow that tweet 20 times
Right.
a day or more. So it tends to fill up the following. If you'd want, like, say, the best of the people that you follow, it should be in For You or something's wrong. The intent is to maximize unregretted user time. So that's I think the metric. That's the metric I've got the whole organization focused on is unregretted user time. I mean, because I frequently hear someone tell me they spent a lot of time on TikTok, but they kind of hate themselves afterwards. And so I'll call that obviously regretted user time. So if we want it to be that you spent the time on X/Twitter, and you're glad you did, like you were informed and entertained. I think get more laughs from Twitter per day than everything else combined, frankly.
Yeah, because everybody's moving towards algorithm. Facebook's algorithm and YouTube's all algorithm driven, and TikTok. So what's Twitter doing differently that's getting you that unregretted user time compared with these other apps?
Well, I guess it matters what content is on a system to be recommended in the first place.
Okay.
So, TikTok has a lot of teen dance videos. So clearly it's a popular topic. Twitter is more of intellectual debates and learning things, humor and humor. So it's a much more of a variety show, but includes serious information, and brand breaking news. It matters that even if you had there were identical algorithms between Facebook and Twitter, if Twitter's content is better or more interesting in that way, you still prefer Twitter. And as you've seen, we've open sourced the algorithm and made at this point I think well over 100 changes based on user feedback.
But how will we stay informed if NPR isn't there anymore?
At any given point, I'm not sure if NPR is there or not. I wasn't aware that they were there until they said they were not going to be there.
That's how it was with Jim Carrey. When I found out Jim Carrey was leaving Twitter, I'm like, I didn't know Jim Carrey was on Twitter.
Yeah, and maybe he's back. I don't know.
I'll have to find out.
I mean, we're trying to apply the rules consistently at Twitter so that the NPR thing is like, well, if we're going to call some media state affiliated, well, there's plenty of media organizations in the U.S. or in the West that are state affiliated. So then we should apply the label equally. And then they got very upset about that, and said that state affiliated implies that the state has editorial authority of an influence over the content. I'm like, so you're saying you don't have that?
Right.
How self-aware are you?
It was on their website.
Well, yeah. I mean, NPR literally on their own website said, government funding is essential to their operation.
Right.
And so we even changed it from state affiliated to state funded. So that's just literally a statement of fact.
Right.
I mean, we could actually just lift the same text from their website and put it at the label. But they're still...
And they're unhappy with that.
Yeah, they're unhappy with that.
It gives the wrong impression, the true impression.
Well, I mean, I think they're going to pull their punches in critiquing the government at NPR. That's just a guess, based on their extreme dependence on government funding. I mean, you don't generally bite the hand that feeds you.
Let's real quick though, back to when you came into Twitter. Okay, so the plane is going down, and you're at the controls and trying to save it. So you're doing all of these things, but you also did want to restore banned accounts.
Yeah.
And so, like, the trust and safety team and everybody were they arguing with you about that, pushing back on that, or was it primarily advertisers who were giving you the most pressure and saying, if you restore all these accounts, we're pulling our ads? What was happening there with the pressure you were getting?
Well, I mean, it was just a totally chaotic situation because I still got to run Tesla and SpaceX while trying to figure out anything about how Twitter runs. Where I exited the top 4 people in the first hour, and then there were a ton of others that either got exited or quit.
Yeah.
So I was really just trying to keep the wheels on the bus is the top priority. The Twitter code base is actually much more complex than you think, and it's not something that just works. It requires a lot of care and feeding. And there were many people who predicted that the service would go down and Twitter's not going to exist after this weekend. There was a whole...
World Cup was going to kill it, right?
Yeah, it was going to get crushed by the World Cup.
Right.
The number of predictions that Twitter is about to die were ridiculous. I mean, one can just go... like almost farcical, frankly.
Yeah.
It's like... But it was still... They did kind of have a point in that it wasn't super easy to keep things running.